Here's a quick tip if you're struggling to pick up the pen and study. You're not aiming low enough. And yes, as weird as this sounds for me to say, this is one of the main limiting factors for people when they are about to do any sort of work. Because if you have a confronting task in front of you, like complete this entire book of questions, then your brain's self-defense mechanism is probably going to tell you that you can't do it. And as the saying goes, the greatest enemy lives between your two ears, because your brain will always find an excuse to not do something. But from the title, you may have guessed that we can essentially trick ourselves to build up momentum by aiming lower. So rather than saying to yourself, let's do this entire book of questions, just say, read the first question and stop. Well, after you've read the first question, you might think it's a waste of time if you don't continue to finish that first question, right? Okay, well, you got the book open and the pen's in your hand already, so you might as well do a couple more considering how short these are. And so on and so on. You can see that this is a snowball effect, starting with these small tasks, but as these increment, we are able to complete the harder tasks, like complete this entire section, which doesn't necessarily have to be in one sitting, at least you'll get it done. And this applies to any subject. So for example, if we were doing English, then maybe just write one sentence, or even easier, just open up a Word document and type in one word. And more times than not, just by doing these simple things, since you have already invested a degree of effort into these actions, then it makes more economic sense for your brain to continue. So regardless of what you're doing, you need to minimize the amount of mental strain to begin. Because the secret in doing well academically, and really any aspect of life, is to just begin. And this is always the hardest step. However, it is a positive feedback loop or a snowball effect, however you want to view it, as long as you pass that initial barrier. Following that will be so much smoother than if you'd never started. And just know that if getting started or procrastination is something that you struggle with, realize that consistently doing these small doable tasks, no matter how small or insignificant they are, by progressively improving and doing more each time, you can establish the discipline needed to tackle bigger goals. So next time you don't feel like doing any work, just write one sentence in a Word document or do one question from your textbook.